Everyone, it is Tuesday, May 6th at 7 p.m. and I'd like to call the regular Board of Trustees meeting for the Village of North Hudson to order. And today, in lieu of a normal invocation, is the anniversary of, sadly, two years ago, Deputy Katie Leising from the St. Croix County Sheriff's Department was shot and killed down near Glenwood City, and so I would like to take, a short time for everyone just to, bow their heads, say a prayer for the family, and have a moment of silence for Katie. Thank you very much. Roll call, please.
Trustee Keller?
Here.
Trustee McGurran?
Here.
Trustee Nelson?
Here.
Trustee Olson?
Here.
Trustee Pike?
Here.
And Trustee Porter?
Here.
President Wecken?
Here. Okay, item 2, review and approve minutes from the regular board meeting of March 25th, August 29th, 2024, November 25th, 2024, and December 11th, 2024.
So moved.
Thank you, Brian. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mary. We apparently did the meetings and everything like that. We just didn't approve the minutes because they were special meetings. So it's not like, we just kind of dropped the ball. And now with the motion and approvals, we'll be back to where we should be. Is there any discussion or other questions? Hearing none. All in favor of the minutes and the motion as presented, signal of saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Item 3 is comments from the floor. Opportunity for the Village of North Hudson residents, property owner, business owners to make the board aware of topics, issues, opportunities not on today's agenda.
Right up there, big guy.
Ryan Nelson.
State your name and address. Understand.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for your time. My name is Ryan Nelson, 702 Deer Path Road. Up for discussion if it's north or not, but months ago, me and some friends, me and my brothers own Gov's Place, he used to own Cozy Corner. We've been in the area forever, Packer fans forever. Friends of mine from Stillwater, Viking fans forever. So we kind of grouped up and decided to do a tug of war on the Stillwater Bridge. Packers versus Vikings. We found out it's never been done on a bridge before, especially with two rival teams. Like 2 cities have done it, but kind of technically a historic thing that we're doing. So a bunch of us donated some money. All the restaurants in town did, all over. 60% went to the winner, 40% went to the loser. I'll play a little video to make it explain a little more since it was a little confusing on exactly what we did, but that's Brad Glenn. He owns Left Bridge.
These fans are anything but off the field. Photojournalist Nick Luneman shows us how they came together to help first responders. And you're all set. Perfect. You're also Packers. You're Vikings.
Good morning. Welcome to the first inaugural border battle tug of war. Packers versus the Skull. We're lining up groups of 20 to pull. There's a 13 feet on either side. So once the center point goes 13 feet past, that determines the way.
I think it's just teamwork. Everybody pull at the same time together. 1, 2, 3, go, and then go forward. Let you go in this way.
We're talking, it would be a great idea before a Packer Viking game to actually do a border battle. Let's get on the actual border and have a tug of war between the 2 states. Over the water.
Great rivalry. This is fun.
Everybody have your elbows above your knees.
This is perfect. And see all the Packer fans out here. What a great day,
City of Stillwater! responders and the police and fire people who take care of the community so well. The first award goes to Wisconsin. Go back, go! Go back, go! Go back, go!
All right, so that was the best of 5 series. Sorry, Minnesota. Wisconsin won 3-2. 60% of the proceeds will go to the Hudson area first responders. The remaining 40% will head to Stillwater first responders.
Don't click him. Yeah, and with that, so we end up raising, or 60% of our money is $2,200. So we have stuff for St. Joseph's Township, which I'll be giving later. North Hudson, thank you very much. We have a check for $600. Thank you. There's another one for the Hudson Police Department and for the Hudson Fire Department. We have a check for $500.
Who do we have from the Hudson Fire Department here today?
Kale couldn't make it. That was my mistake. Oh, sorry. That's him.
Thank you guys very much. Well, come on, everyone knows Tom.
Yeah. So, yeah. Thank you. It was great. You know, just more participation. I think we really had about 300 people that showed up. It was a nice day and it was awesome. So it's nice to have something community-wise going back and forth. So next year it'll be at the second Packer Viking game again. So thanks. Appreciate everything.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you so much.
All right. Anybody else for comments from the floor? Hearing none. New business from the board or staff, president's comments. It's a new season, and I don't really have a lot going on right now. We've got some different projects that will be happening through the next few months, but you should hear about those in the next with the rest of the agenda. But I'd like to draw everyone's attention to May is Military Appreciation Month. So for those who serve and have served, please, if you see some, tell them, give them thanks. They're all a great bunch of folks. It's also National Nurses Day and Week this week. And anybody that's been in the hospitals and stuff like that and had medical issues, they know that the nurses are the ones that save the day a lot of times. So please, if you know nurses, and we'll thank them for that. And also, this coming Sunday is Mother's Day, and I would like to say Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. And then toward the end of the month, we have Memorial Day, which we honor our fallen soldiers that didn't make it home. So that's all I've got. Gina?
Yeah, I've got a couple of updates. So we had, with regards to property assessments, we had our open book today with our assessor. That was from 9 to 11. That was all via the phone. Open book is a chance for residents to review the submitted assessed value from the assessor and have a discussion with the assessor if there was questions about your current assessment. We do have the assessment roll printed here at the Village Hall, so if anyone would like to review it, I encourage you to come in and do so. If you missed the opportunity to talk with the assessor, we ask that you reach out to them before this Thursday, end of day, May 8th. If there's any items that need to come to the board for a review, based on your discussion with the assessor, those need to be filed at least 48 hours ahead of the review session. So I'm kind of backing it up there, which is scheduled for Tuesday, the 13th. So if you want to speak to the assessor or if you want to see the assessment roll, please let us know and we'll try and get that done with you yet this week. So any objections can go in front of the board of review next Tuesday. We had our reorganization meeting. I just wanted to mention we do have a couple of change in chairs. So Trustee Keller will be taking public safety. Trustee McGurran will be taking park. Trustee Olson will be historic preservation. And we had a couple of other time changes, and those are up on our website. For Public Works will be at 5 o'clock. And Parks moved to the third Tuesday of the month at 6:30. And the reason for that, the driver for that, is we want to be able to televise that meeting as well, like we are the others. And we weren't able to televise it at its current date. So heads up on those. We had an announcement go out yesterday about a community garden that is being offered now through the Village of North Hudson. We're very excited about it. It was posted on our Facebook page, on our website, and as well as an email to those who have signed up for alerts. So if you haven't done so yet, head to our website and we'll get you added to that list. But there's 14 plots that are available. It is up in the Woodcrest Park area. First come, first serve. I will tell you the post went out yesterday, and I've got 8 of the 14 plots already accounted for. So that's very exciting. We do realize there are deer in that park. We also realize that deer like plants. What we decided on is that we didn't want to invest the money to put up a fence if no one was going to show an interest in the community garden. So we are allowing for smaller cover, per plot covered. So if you want to put up some, rabbit fencing or chicken wire or whatever you do for year one, that would be great. If we continue to get the amount of interest we'll definitely look at getting a deer fence to the best that we can next year. So we're very excited, but again, spring is here, so we know planting season. A lot of people are getting excited about that. So reach out to me at the village administrator through email, and we'll get you added to the list until they're all gone. But we're excited about that. Also new this year, worked on last year, but newly available are our pickleball courts. So we do have the 3 pickleball courts that were installed last year. Our courts both have their lines and their nets up, so they are usable. The first one in Glen Oaks, it is just the 1 court. We are not having a reservation system for that court, so it's kind of come as you go, come and go as you will. But the Summers Landing, there are 2 courts there. We do have online on our website again, kind of promoting the website, a place where you can make reservations. So if you have a couple of groups and you want to get together and play pickleball together and make sure that spot is open, you can go online and reserve your spot. We've got them in hour-long increments, but you can do multiple hours. Later tonight, we'll be presenting a request for additional funding to go and get a fence around the 2 pickleball courts. We've learned that putting them back to back and not having a fence in between is not going to maybe serve as well as we had hoped. So, but yeah, so please come out and enjoy the pickleball courts. We're very excited about that addition as well this year. Then the last one I had is we also have a chip seal bid out right now for looking for anyone who is interested in bidding on some chip sealing work for the village this year. Responses are due back on Monday, May 12th, and that is also on the website. If you have any information, or if you need any information, give myself or Matt Howell, our Public Works Director, a call.
That's it?
That's it.
And I'll add, since I live across the street from the park where the community gardens are, there's a lot of deer, and I've had gardens there for years, and they are, if you got some fencing to put around them, otherwise you'll be planting and there won't be a lot left there for you. So, but yeah, just a little bit of fence can deter them. And then there's also spray, you can make cayenne spray and different stuff like that they don't like. But it is exciting to have gardens, and I know people that have been by there have had a lot of compliments for them already, and we did use. The wood that we used was from the storm trees that we cut up and made the frames out of those and stuff. So it's pretty local. So we're pretty excited for that.
I will note the Public Works guys did do mill the lumber on their own time.
Dang.
Sorry.
All my park stuff. Like, this is mine.
And Kirk will tell you more about it in a minute.
Gosh darn it.
That's because we're all
I
excited.
agree with you, but I mean, this whole time, I'm just like, that's what I was going to bring up. Goodness.
On the pickleball
Rain or
courts,
parade?
are you putting signs somewhere in there to say to reserve these?
Yep.
And so
Yes.
we don't run into conflicts down there. If somebody comes and I've got a reserved time, there's somebody that didn't reserve and already playing kind of thing?
Yep.
Okay.
We'll make sure we have proper signage,
Yeah.
Yep.
and we hope that becomes an issue, because that means it's being used a lot. But we'll talk about this when it comes to parks.
Okay.
Thank you, you too. Apologize.
Should have sent me a text or something. All right, next item on the agenda, and I was a review motion to move the Finance and Personnel Committee meeting to 5:30 from 6 p.m. and Board of Trustees from 6 p.m. or to 6 p.m. from 7 p.m. on the first Tuesday of the month. Discussion and possible recommendations.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Brian and Dusty. Discussion.
Just moving it earlier?
What's that?
Just we're moving it earlier?
Yeah, it's just, and it's, and, the biggest thing I said, it helps, like, Gina on Tuesdays is sometimes over 12 hours here, and, for someone's on salary, that you start going backwards, and same thing with Susanna when she's here, so, I think it, and hopefully everybody will be able to still come out and make it. I mean, it has worked on all the other different committees that we've had, so I'm definitely in favor of this.
Love it. Let's get them home earlier.
Well, I have a concern about if it will impact people's ability to come for public comment, because this is really a community where we know the data is the majority of the people don't work in the county. And so we've got people that would be traveling home after work and need to be here. So I just want to make sure that we're not impacting the community's ability to participate, because we already struggle with that. So I know that you guys have done some looking around, and I see that some communities start at 8 a.m. Some communities start at 7 p.m. So I don't know if we really have any information about the impact on the community, and I'd like us, I'm not saying that this isn't a good idea, and I understand the benefits to the staff for sure, but if we can reevaluate this after a period of time, and if we could get some feedback from the community, that I think would have been nice to have tonight before we took the vote, even to hear what if there was an impact on the community, what it would be. It's not convenient for me, but this isn't about me. I'm concerned about the community.
Well, and I appreciate that, and, as, elected, we've all been elected, and, that's what we're here for, is for the community to let us know so that we can bring it to the board, so if they can't be here, that, it's like, hey, would you bring this up? And since we televise and everything, they can see what's on there. So, and if it's I think with the public hearings, that's interactive, or we got.
Public hearings would be interactive.
Yeah, so that should help with that. But no, and this isn't, all right, we did it, now it's here forever. No, that's the nice thing about having a small village, and that hey, if this isn't working, let's change it. We can go back where we were.
So I would just ask that I assume it's going to be voted in, that we would reconsider it and try and get some community input through the ways that we can do that.
Thank you. Okay, any other discussion? Brian?
Yes.
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 Thank you. So you'll see the change on the website that we're promoting. Okay, next item on the agenda is review motion to allow village staff to engage in development of agreements with Pepper Festival, Inc., discussion and possible recommendations.
Stan, I move to allow village staff to engage in the development of agreements with Pepper Festival, Inc. to revitalize the village's outdoor space surrounding the village hall.
Thank you, Brian. Is there a second?
Second.
Kurt?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Discussion.
Yeah, I'll get it started, and then you can ask questions from there. So this came up as we've been having discussions with Pepper Festival on the work that they're doing to submit their plans for their property, which is right behind the village hall, to the planning commission and to the appropriate boards. They're going through the paperwork. They're bringing stuff to the village as our ordinances require, and they're going through all that. And when I've been reviewing it and having conversations with the several members of Pepper Fest, committee, I realized that a lot of what they need, I believe, is a lot of what we need, we being the village hall and we being the village in general. And so I started seeing things like parking. We both, we don't have any parking, and we both would like to have parking for our buildings, and green space that has, trees and those sorts of things. So I asked for Pepper Festival if they would mind if I brought forward a recommendation to the board for you guys to consider allowing the village staff to work in conjunction with Pepperfest. So I'm kind of referring to it as the outdoor space. So all of the space we own on both the north and the south side of the village hall, and maybe looking at revitalizing that and partnering with Pepperfest to do that. So, again, it's really the ability to think bigger than just Pepperfest has the plot of land right there, and if that's all that they have, they've got fantastic plans to build on that. But when you look at the map and you look at this community and what the community needs, I think maybe we could take advantage, not in a bad way, but leverage dollars that have been made available to the Pepperfest committee in order to build out their community center, and maybe leverage those dollars in a way that improves this entire block for to better serve our community as a whole. So the plan that I kind of submitted to you guys, and that's online, the current plan, nothing wrong with it, right? So we've got Pepperfest owns the land behind us. As I mentioned, they have a beautiful community center going in that would include a pavilion that would be available for use, and a playground at the south end of their property. So if this board says we're not interested in partnering, Pepperfest in a few weeks is going to be bringing this plan that's circled in that teal box. They're going to be bringing that to the Plan Commission, and they'll move forward, and we'll be good. But what I'm asking is for us to maybe think a little bit broader. And so on the next page, the picture with the slides, if we can partner together, or the board approves allowing us to look at this land as community land, not necessarily village versus Pepperfest, I think that we have opportunities to do a lot more for the neighborhood. And so one of the biggest things I said when I got here, and we've seen over and over again with elections, is there is no parking, and that creates hardships for a lot of people when they come to vote. So yes, a lot of people can park down the street and have no issues, but when it's raining and you've got older people or people with some disabilities, we've got 2 parking spots out front, but not a lot for the new moms that are trying to get a stroller and park. And so parking, to me as the administrator, is a big issue here in general for the village hall, as well as sidewalks, right? We don't have any sidewalks, so you do get out of your car if you find a parking spot and you're walking down the middle of the street to get yourself into the village hall. We've got the one sidewalk that comes up this way, but no sidewalks between the parking spots and the building. We have this gazebo out front, which needs a lot of work and is a little bit of an eyesore at this point. And so if we do nothing, we'll have to look at investing money in that gazebo to upgrade it. Right now, it's a nice house for bats, and nothing wrong with that. I love animals, but probably could have a better use than a bat gazebo outside there, and it really doesn't get any use. So I've been here a year and a half, and I've seen a handful of people use it a handful of times, and so I think that we could have something better out there. Pepperfest went to get a grant for an amazing playground. Again, they have it in their plans right now so that playground will sit on their land and their property, but it's behind our buildings. And so if we really want to make it available to the community and have visibility for it, in my mind, we have the area south of the village hall, which again, in theory, has a skating rink occasionally from year to year when it's cold enough, long enough, but really gets very little use. There's this really sweet German Shepherd that comes out with his owners and plays fetch once in a while, but that's about it. And so if we were to work together and maybe allow Pepperfest to use some of that land, that place set that they're buying and they're paying for and maintaining could be more visible and more usable to the community. Again, they've got grants for trees. We don't have a lot of trees in that south area. That could be why people aren't using it, because it's pretty hot in the summer, so the grass doesn't grow well because it just gets fried. We have a skating rink that, if we remove the warming house, that's also needs a lot of maintenance, a new roof, amongst other things, and is also a bit of an eyesore, needs new electrical. If we were to remove that warming house and leverage the pavilion and the bathrooms that are going to be a part of the Pepperfest Community Center, we could put the skating rink again more up front where people can see it. Today it's hidden behind the building, and as a result of being hidden back there, it gets very little use, and it's very, it can only be so big. So if we had, again, think outside the box, think a little bit bigger, we could have that skating rink where more people could see it and maybe even park next to it instead of having to walk behind the building. So this is just a conceptual idea to show, I think we have a great opportunity as a village and as a board and as a staff to do more with what Pepperfest is bringing to the table. And so what I'm basically asking for from a motion perspective is to allow us to engage in these development agreements. So when we ask the Pepperfest committee to go to the Plan Commission, let's go with these bigger plans in mind versus just what they have today, limiting them to the land that they own.
Yeah, when Gina first brought this up, I felt so silly and dumb, where it's like, makes complete sense. Like you and Chief you guys do so much of thinking about how North Hudson works together, and this is such a, to me, no-brainer of like, why wouldn't we rethink of this whole area? So I really appreciate all of that insight and that idea of it, because I wasn't thinking about it, but it makes complete sense, and I love every part of that, so thank you.
Are you gonna make that into the motion?
How much I appreciate. I would love to do a motion to approve the working together of the park board and the Village of North Hudson to make this one big concept. I'm sorry, Pepperfest Park.
I'll second the working together.
It's so genius. I love every part of it.
Thank you, Kurt.
So, question, in addition to going in front of the Plan Commission, would this also come to the Park Committee since it is part of the park? I think it would be well received and exciting.
Yeah, we've talked about it too. They've come to us before, so it's been a part of our agenda too. The park board, I'm pretty confident we approved it. Yeah.
So what the park board approved was the asking the Pepperfest committee to go back and show conceptually what this playground would look like if they were to put it on the land that we own, we being the village owns just south. So, but yeah, absolutely, Mary. What we had kind of talked about with the Pepperfest is they've got their CUP paperwork in. Susanna's working to get the plan meeting scheduled. And the thought is sit down with the plan, show what they've got so far, get approval to go forward and start getting the proper permits needed so that they can start to do the design. And then I think while we're doing that, then that's when the park board would come into play and help with the discussions and decisions about how that playground area looks and as part of that design.
Well, and information too about the gazebo and the warming house and those other things, which I'm not sure have been. I think that would be good information. And the adding of sidewalks and all those things, I think and trees.
Sure. Yeah.
Has the revitalized the block, which we have in our packet, been to the park board?
I have not.
I don't think so.
No, I have not.
Okay, so this is going to go to them and then come back to the board if the park board passes it?
I would disagree with that. I think we should approve it now as the park board chair. And then keep them in the loop and keep talking to them to help develop it. I don't want to slow down their process with that stuff.
But there's a motion on the table, first of all. Mm-hmm. We haven't voted on that motion, which is to agree to, how did it say it again?
To allow the village staff to engage in the development of agreements with Pepper Festival Incorporated.
But you're not taking park board out of the middle of that though either?
No.
Okay.
Nope. I don't know if I misspoke or if you want to add anything.
All right, Tim Zeiss, 69 Cherry Circle North. One key thing I should make a point is that I've been in front of you guys, as you know, we talked about this, and I've been in front of Park Board, I've been in front of Planning Commission already, but we're coming to them the next meeting to really talk about the building. Because the building's going to be key to put up first, and this is going to be done in phases. So phase 1 will be the building, so just keep that in mind. Phase 2, we'll start working with the pavilion potentially will be next, and phase 3 could probably be the playground, the greenery, removal of the warming house, the removing of the gazebo. All that activity will be phase 3. So it's going to take time, and every time we step through those phases, I'll be in front of you, presenting what we're going to do, all the steps involved. I'll go coming from the parks. I'll go in front of planning again, just to talk to you about what's going to be done. We know that a lot of utilities are going in that warming house right now, and there's going to be expense. And all of these different phases that we're talking about, Pepperfest is willing to take on that expense to do that, to redo the whole block.
So you're saying this revitalized thing we've got is actually like a phase 3 thing?
Exactly.
So Park Board has plenty of time to look at it?
Plenty of time. We'll be in front of them multiple times through this to make sure you're all aware and communicating everything of effort, and we'll be talking with Gina as we keep progressing through this. So, thank you.
Yeah, I was going to say, any other questions for Tim, but I mean, I think it's pretty well covered.
It looks cool, dude.
Any comments from the board? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion to allow the village staff to engage in development agreements with Pepper Festival, Inc., signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Item 7, review motion to transition from MSI Harris to Workhorse accounting software. Discussion, possible recommendations.
Then I move to approve the village's transition from MSI Harris to Workhorse accounting software, including a one-time software cost of $13,800 and training costs of $3,000, with implementation to begin following the required 90-day notice to MSI Harris and a target go-live date of July 1, 2025.
From unassigned funds.
Oh, and this is coming from unassigned funds.
Second.
Thank you. Thank you. Discussion? Or Jeannie, you want to make some comments?
Yep, so I had mentioned to the Finance Committee, we brought this forward to them prior to this meeting. We have software that our treasurer uses. He's had issues over the past several years, but I think it's starting to really come to a head, and we saw that in real time with this board 2 months ago when we couldn't actually complete the treasury report because the software wasn't working. So I had asked Nathan, our treasurer, to sit down and look at the numbers, look at what we're spending this year for the existing software, look at what it would cost to move to Workhorse. Nathan actually just got back from a training, treasurer's conference, and Workhorse was there presenting at that conference as well. He said, they said right now they've got more than 40% of the municipalities across Wisconsin are using Workhorse because it is built for Wisconsin municipalities, and so that is their target audience. So some of the things we struggle with and we have to kind of make do with, we wouldn't have to do with the new software. So I presented it as something that we were interested in and potentially pursuing if the committee would consider it as a switch. If we did something like this and if this was approved, our ideal is to do it in the summer because obviously fall we have the budgeting, and in the winter we have our tax season, and then we have audits in the spring. So if we were to pull the trigger on something like this and migrate over to a different software, summer would be our ideal time frame.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions?
Won't slow down our budgeting is what you're saying.
Well, I won't ever say that, but that would be the goal.
I'm assuming our unassigned is okay to handle something like this?
Yes, yep. So we could do unassigned for, I'll take that question in two ways. One, it's a one-time purchase of the software, so we can use unassigned for that. And the balance of our unassigned funds is healthy. And so this would not even really scratch the surface of unassigned. So we'd still have money to do some of the other things that we're looking at in the comprehensive plan and through the Parks Committee.
Any other comments? Hearing none. Let's see, that's kind of a spending, so Mary?
Yes.
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 Or- Yes?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you, unanimous. Okay. Next is item 8, conceptual review of Railroad Properties LLC proposal for potential future development. This is discussion only. And the owner of Railroad Properties LLC is here to enlighten us.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Bruce Lenzen. I'm the owner of Railroad Properties.
What's that?
I'm the owner of Railroad Properties LLC of
We
Hudson.
call you
That's
RPL.
what, I'm just reading what it's in front of me.
So tonight, I'm gonna, Gina, why don't you fill in why I'm here and what you asked me to do, and which is I have completed.
Yeah, sure. So as a result of the last meeting, there was some questions about what Bruce's plans would look like if no additional land was sold, and what his plans would look like if additional land was sold. So I had asked him to come back and present kind of both of those pictures for you guys, address some of the concerns that have been brought forward as far as zoning and some other things, and give us more of a visual of what these two options would look like, so that in the future, we can bring this decision back regarding the land, and hopefully you guys will have your questions answered to help make a decision in a future meeting. So this is discussion only.
Might take it from there.
I will also note too, just like the other group, Bruce would then go into plan, he would go through all the process. This isn't circumventing any of that, it's just giving us that conceptual overview, so that if this board says, you know, we absolutely will never consider selling land after we have this discussion, he knows what to go forward with. And if they say, well, potentially it's of interest, he can go forward with a different plan. So it's really to help guide him on his next steps.
Do we get to see the slow cooker chili recipe after this?
Not the top secret.
Fair. Probably the chili cook or the Dick's cook-off. Okay.
But Gina, this is a discussion-only item,
Yeah.
so there's not a
You've had
go
it.
forward or don't go forward today.
Not today.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank
This is all just informing us. I like it. You're going to give us info of what your plan is, and we'll be able to decide further decisions with the information.
Big program.
Wait till the first one opens. Okay. All right. So what I've done in our discussion is property as just under current zoning. What would I envision taking it just as is? What can I put there? What will fit? What would make sense as a developer? Okay. So what I've done is I've put this into a 3D model for you to see. And it's pushing the limits of my software. I will tell you that. But it should address like things like it will address. I've modeled the entire site, so basically from the highway bridge, looking all the way property towards the river. I guess that's going to take a little bit of doing here. There's a lot of stuff on here.
Are you able to email this to us at the end? So if we have
I
any more
can
questions?
certainly do
Or
that.
send it to Gina and she'll let us, so if we can.
Sure, I can put it into a PDF.
Awesome.
I'll probably break it into.
Yeah.
It's so huge.
I was about to say, if that took that
It
long to
probably
load.
wouldn't go through our email.
It would not. So this is the, I'll go right up to the bridge here. Oops, wrong bridge. That's the railroad trestle. Get it up here. It's right there. Up. So this is looking from the bridge. The bridge is right here. This is the dam. That's your water. So the proposal would be putting in, that would be the view, looking to the south. I can get a little bigger scale there for you.
We're currently looking at the one with us selling you land?
No.
Okay.
This is just, so basically you've got a heavy tree line on there. Basically, I would plant trees and it would be a fenced off, it would be a secure access there. This is what it would look like as far as to the north. And then I'll get into the, and then take it down Wisconsin Street.
How many more units would that be?
I'll be able to pull that up for you and just so you can see it here in just a second. So basically what I've designed is a two-story structure, so about this footprint each. I got lost in my, see where I'm at here. Oh, yeah. So here's an overview of the south side of the property. Zoom in on that. And that puts I think seven structures.
Those condos, or what are they?
No, these are just commercial, industrial. It's under your zone. So it would just be anything that would, a structure that would fit within your zoning, not asking for anything like, this is just what is your zoning, under your zoning law is allowed.
So this is no additional land
This
and
is
no
no
change in
additional,
zoning?
no
This is
changes.
what
It'd
you
have
would
to
do.
be a change in zoning because it's zone conservancy. So
No, not right
all of this
there.
would be.
No, not there, not the railroad property. And this is what shows what
Kevin?
would be on the north, or on the, the north side. There'd be four, I think it's 4 or 5, 1, 2, 3, 5 structures and a small one, about 1,000 square foot structure.
So is this Malibu Apartments over here?
This is the Malibu
Okay.
Apartments, this is their garages, this is East Bank,
Okay.
this is their structures. So, and then I'll just go right to the site plan. So you can see it just in 2D here.
So you're saying you feel very confident they can build in those areas where some,
It meets all the setbacks and,
their zoning,
yeah, per your zoning,
mm-hmm.
what is allowed, and obviously I gotta go through plan commission and stuff, but per your zoning and what,
And that's not marked conservancy, that area you have?
the south side is not conservancy. There's conservancy around it, but the actual railroad property is not conservancy.
I'm not sure that's accurate. Because we've got the map over here and our engineer's here. We could ask him.
The map is incorrect, I know it is.
Our map is not correct?
I've actually brought it up and tried to get it corrected, but it's not conservancy.
But where he's showing the buildings, he's not, this is,
I'm not
if he
putting
just
any-
uses the property that he purchased. He's
I
not
understand.
looking at anything else.
I understand. I'm just saying that's our map and it's marked conservancy.
The
That's all.
railroad property isn't marked that up there.
It's on the wall.
So here's the real question. So how do you know that to be true? So we see something that says it is, you feel very confident. How did you check that out, or how do you know?
The simple, well, initially, if you go to the county maps, when it's the entire railroad, there's no document from the railroad property ever allowing conservancy to be put on this property. There's no legal document that goes back to the 1800s. This property has been researched from initial transfer from the U.S. government to the railroad. So there's no, and all the title work and all the title searches that were done, it was super extensive. And the actual railroad property is on both sides. This is all commercial industrial zoning. Now, the land around it is labeled conservancy, and that's.
I think that's where the confusion is. So the property, just run your cursor up the railroad property there that you bought.
It's right here. This is the railroad, so this is the line of the property.
And so what you're saying by conservancy, it is the stuff to the river side, right?
And anything, all the land around here is conservancy.
Okay.
Other than the railroad property. And I'm showing the railroad property here, if you can, I don't know if that screen's gonna do it, but there's actually a red line here that shows it. That's one.
Can I ask our lawyer how we check to see if that's true?
So,
I'm curious, like,
Guess we'd have to look through
yeah,
the
like I feel like
village-
that's something we need to,
village records.
yeah.
I mean, typically the zoning map would be accurate. That's why you have it.
And it's the village's zoning map. It's not, we don't record our zoning with the county. It's our village zoning. Is that correct, Paul?
Well, the village has their own zoning, so they would have it and they have control over that. I don't know, sitting here, who's right,
Yeah,
but
I would be happy to provide all the documentation, all the title work
yeah,
for review. That's fine.
that'd be very helpful.
Well, we have our engineer here. Is the railroad property labeled conservancy or not?
Hey, you haven't asked any part of this. How about we throw an engineer at you?
Based on what I see on your zoning map, it does appear that it is
The railroad property itself is?
as conservancy,
Hmm.
from what I can tell from here.
So that'll be one of the matters that will need to be addressed, obviously.
Yeah.
Very
And
important.
who addresses that plan?
Plan.
Okay.
so the structures on the south side, those are not, you're not thinking about putting residential or anything like that in there?
That would be, so this initial plan is simply what I would do if we can't come to an agreement about what I would love to do there, my real plan.
Okay.
But this is what will fit vehicles and setbacks and height and it just access everything.
To the dam and
that needs
stuff
to
that
be-
Hudson
yeah.
needs.
Yeah, and that'll be something that will get addressed in planning and zoning. Address the easements that are gonna be required. Because there are no easements at this time for the village to access over the railroad property. So that's it in a nutshell. This is very straightforward. Any questions? I can help. Any additional questions other than technical questions, which I know will be addressed?
so you're planning commercial industrial buildings.
Yes.
If his real plan isn't approved.
Yeah.
If I'm going to develop the land.
Right.
I've got a lot invested in it, and I want to get. That's the whole purpose of it, with the meetings with the county and the city of Hudson, trying to get this figured out, so I can have a plan to move forward. And that's what hopefully will be the fruit of this meeting, is that we can, like, you guys can talk about it and then talk with the other entities and figure out what everyone's willing to do. So we
Bruce?
can move forward.
Excuse me, just so when you first started speaking, I thought you said something about, you showed us pictures of 7 two-story, 2,000 square foot.
Yeah, that's right about this.
So, and that would be housing, correct, for people?
This is no housing here.
No, okay.
No, zero housing. This is simply super straightforward. this is what I can fit in there. And that would make, on the developer's side of it, like, okay, economically, structures that size are being sold in the marketplace. They work for, under the current zoning and everything applicable there.
Okay, what would they be used for? Like,
Just anything under your zoning that's allowable under your zoning.
so it could be housing?
Nope.
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 Okay, 'cause
That's only change.
No. So
Okay.
that's
Okay.
this version of it.
Okay.
And that current zoning you think is commercial industrial?
Yes.
Okay.
So now I will go to,
Well, with that, you know, I mean, you can go to your next one. I know it takes a while to load up. But with that last one that you're showing, obviously the way that people are coming in and out of that is basically going from North Street to Bridge Street to get to that.
correct.
Now, obviously, North Street is Hudson.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of residents that are on that part of that area. They're not going to be pleased with a lot more traffic coming in through that area. I already saw them complaining when there's construction going on. So I'm just wondering, is there, like, if you're going to build these commercial places, like, how much more traffic is coming through that area? Because you're going to probably hear it from Hudson, and then it's coming back into us as well. So I'm just wondering if that's something that you put in the figure as well.
I think that's not his problem.
Well, I know that, I understand that, but it's just, that's another hurdle that I feel is gonna come up down the road.
Yeah, so depending on, so it's either gonna go one direction or the other here, and then you can, you know, I don't have an answer for that as to what, I mean, it's market driven, it's market based. So I would do studies on like, okay, what would be the best commercial, you know, what product should I put out there? And that's an investment in time and money, and so that's not what I want to do, so.
No, I know that, I'm just saying.
But, you know, so that's just so I can get the best opportunity for, the, you know, for the land. And just to speed this up, as far as what you're seeing, I'm gonna turn off some things that were just slowing down the software. I'm gonna get rid of all your trees for the time being. That's why it takes, that's the biggest one. Should have rebased all of them, or hidden. This will take just a minute. So hopefully this will go a little faster. Okay, so the idea, so the plan that I would like to see happen in the village here is these would all be condominiums, condominium buildings here on the north side. Both sides would be, I would be going for residential housing. And
Rezoning both sides for
correct.
Residential.
Yep, rezoning that, and this is how they would lay out. There would be 4 buildings here and a smaller one here. I removed the trees for you so you can actually see it. The idea of the architecture, which is more of a, you're all familiar with your railroad yards. It would be imitating the Italian architecture. All the brick, everything would be brick. Same detail, same curved windows. That's my vision of it. So basically, because of the history of this property, just a continuance of this was a railroad property, and there'll be, you know, those buildings down there are actually have quite beautiful detail to them, and so that would be the exterior look of it. Like I said, I removed all the trees here, so we can move a little faster.
It's
And
easier
then,
to see too.
Did you
It's
want me
easier to see with those trees gone, so we
Yeah.
can, yeah. I mean, they're beautiful trees. and it will be nice.
And then, of course, here's your trestle bridge. And on this side, I would be proposing to do 6, it would go, this version, it would be housing. I basically have replicated the same ones I did on the south side for this presentation, which would be 6 buildings. And then, site here.
So if the zoning was changed to residential, the 6 buildings here and the ones on the other side, but all of this would fit on the land that you own currently today?
Not with the residential.
Not with the zoning, but it would
Not-
fit
not
within
with the
the land.
zoning.
The land that you own, this is the land that just you,
I could, yes.
okay.
I can fit this on, it's not ideal on the south side. North side works really nicely. But that's why I think this could be a very positive thing for the village and for everyone involved here. So I get to an overhead shot here. Because this is where other elements here, what I desire to see happen here.
Need a faster computer, brother. With that
not
kind of
even- it's not
software
even a
loaded,
year
with that
old.
software loaded.
Some tens of thousands, whatever data points in here is, it's pushing it to its limits. It's the best software available, other than, I suppose, NASA uses this too. It's that maybe faster computers.
So question, I mean, while you're doing this, or the computer's thinking, so if this is zoned commercial, you can go ahead to the planning commission and just move forward with it if nothing happens, right? You can just
With the
take it
other
and go.
plan.
Yeah,
With
with
the other
the plan that's not ideal for you.
Correct. Go to planning. And I don't think, just so everyone understands where I'm coming from on this, I desire to be a resident of Hudson, of North Hudson. I desire to live on this property. I believe this can be a win for all of the groups involved. And that includes the parks and the rails and trails and this community. I mean, the benefits on this plan is the amount of property taxes that would be a benefit to the village and the county for forever. I'm gonna get rid of all these trees again, and it would allow there to be, so as part of this, I've been meeting with the Rails and Trails Committee, and there's 2 different committees there, but anyway.
We
you
still
can
don't quite know. We still
explain.
agreed.
You could-
Your
you could
question was
explain.
incredibly fair.
Is that, as part of this, would be an overall park development that group wants to see happen, and a bike trail that would have access across this bridge. I desire to see it happen. I can make it happen. I'm asking for everyone to work together here so that the city benefits on the tax dollars, that the trail gets put in, the bike trail gets put in, and these beautiful parks get put in. So that's where my heart's at, and that's what I'm trying to show you here.
So this is the same, this is your ideal plan with the land that you, all the land that you own
No,
today?
this goes into, now, this is where we're gonna be
This is the
talking about,
third.
this is the property
Okay.
that I would like, well, it's been put to me that the appraisal was done. Let's find out what it's worth. And so this is the one where there's portions of the property that I would purchase or desire to purchase and work with the entities so that this, because I can make, and this is showing what, as if I were purchasing portions of the property, not all of it, actually, but portions of it that surround my property, okay?
So this is phase two with us and the county and the city selling the certain portions we own.
Correct.
And then this is also probably you showing us what it could look like if we can make rails and trails, together with all four of, or all three, or whatever.
It's something like this. If you can see that line, yeah, you can see that. So this property here up to the red line, and this property here in front of here, this is the property I would like to purchase for this. And on the south side. And on the north side, see something. It's approximately right here. Portion of this property, right in there. So those
Did
are
we
the-
have that appraised? I didn't think we
Yeah.
had anything appraised on that
All
side.
of it, all of it was appraised.
Yep.
I don't think it's that specific, but yeah, it's all been appraised.
Basically, the appraisal, the way I read it, is for just anything in the village of North Hudson that surrounded this property. That's what the appraisal is based on.
Yeah, so I had them go north all the way up and south, all the way down the river and along the lake for the appraisal.
Yep.
Knowing that, that's not necessarily exactly all the land that Bruce would like. He would like a portion of that, but I just did it as a parcel.
I just didn't remember the north side of it, so.
So what this does, we'll just really shoot on, the main discussion here is, I would, so if we can get these parcels sold, I would be, or, that purchase agreement done. What it would do, however we need to do it, this would all be park area here. On this end, I happen to show 20-some spots for parking. There's green space for other pavilions. I know and then as part of this, actually, I'm doing this for the city of Hudson, I'll be laying and designing out this as a whole park area, including the property on Hudson, which is not yours, but that's the next step here for me to do. But here I'm just showing you, this is the property, just so everyone's clear, this is the property, and this portion up to this line, approximately to that line. It's not set in stone or anything. But which would create a park area out here, would, in the future, when
and if.
It would allow, then that would be, and part of that would be, of course, the bridge. This would also give you all your access the village of North Hudson needs through the drive to service the dam, and also for, the police services and medical, which obviously needs to happen. So this provides for that. So this is just a general, but this is, generally speaking, this is the amount of, maybe 4 structures, twin homes, basically, but they'd be condos, 2 stories. on that side, or in a small one.
Okay, so on the south side, there's the proposal that they would like to do, I believe it's Rails and Trails, right? They would like to do this massive park out here, and it's not approved, and it's just talked about, and that's all great and dandy. And I do believe you have talked to them and worked that out. So if we were to overlay what they wanted to do with that area for a park with the land that you want to purchase, I think we had talked about it. It overlapped just a very small amount that you wanted to purchase, and you, I think, talked about working with
The
them.
majority was up in here, and there's a large part in here, and then they do have some in here.
Yeah.
And this is, once again, this is a concept.
Correct.
But it is a dimensionally totally correct to the inch, basically, of what could be done as far as the number of structures and things like that, okay? I know this is gonna be a process as I work with the planning commission and work through first of all, get over the hurdles of, okay, what can we all work together and do, and see, get this accomplished. So that's as far as the parks thing, what I'm doing is I'm taking their design, the elements of they have there was two designs, taking a combination of both of them, and I'll be showing them in 3D exactly the real, like, okay, this is what I desire, which will allow the future bike trail to be your future parks.
Good.
So that's what I'm doing for the city of Hudson right now and for the park, that whole
Rails and Trails.
Rails and Trails.
So those south buildings on the east, that area right there, what do you plan on using that for?
Just green space.
Okay.
Just green space. That's what I said. It's somewhere in there okay, so on the north side, it's very straightforward about the condos, okay? And this here shows dimensional things on the south side, okay? As far as structures, this is what could happen. In my business plan, I'm focusing on the north side first, just because I got to get this development moving. The south side, as we work, it will be once the zoning goes in. The parameters as far as where I can build, the only place I can build is on the railroad property. As far as setbacks and some things like that. So it's really just the railroad property. It just had how. What these structures would be, it might be that at that time in the market, this is a couple of years out at least, for the south side. If the marketplace says, hey, condos aren't selling, or that price point of condo, I don't control that. I go to the marketplace where it's at, and right now, the information I have from the market studies that I've done in the past is that right now, especially on the north side, there's a high, I'm asked about these condos on the north side all the time. Dozens and dozens of people are looking for, and I'm trying to keep them in a very good price point it's market-based, but very equivalent in size and to what is being built up in Hudson, by the dog track and things like that, even though these buildings don't look at all the same, but it's the same. That's what they're selling $895 or something like that. You know what I mean? So I'm trying to keep those in a cost-effective manner here. South side, once we can work something out here, I could always do these. And if the market says, hey, great, they'll sell, perfect. There's a lot of risk involved here and committing to something like this. But,
What's your time frame on the north and the south side, ideally for yourself?
I would love to be breaking ground late fall and on the north side as far as early spring. I'm ready to move forward as soon as we can get something, but this is just the very beginning of this whole process. There's and just the engineering work on, so it would be utilities. I'm trying to so we get going on utilities and things like that. And the north side's simple. It's the easiest of the two. South side's gonna take some real work.
And Bruce has absolutely worked with Rails and Trails. The idea currently we're at right now is how we can blend this new concept with the other concept. So I do want to state that he's been open with us, and my goal is for a win-win where Rails and Trails, we can get what we want and you can get what you want. So we're kind of in that dance right now of what that could look like.
So are you offering to build the park? Is that what this is?
I'm going to, and I've already committed, I'm willing to work with, I know as we get into your zoning and when you do land development, you have to provide there's a lot of things that we got to work through. So I'm sure there's going to be some element of that, of where funds that I would be funding, because you guys have already told me you don't want the bridge. Very clearly.
Do you want the bridge?
No, I don't want the bridge.
We don't either.
But he's referencing that when we do a development, remember, in our village, a certain percent goes to parks or money.
Right. Not enough to get anything done ever, which is why we haven't. So that isn't too enticing to me for this. And I think there's just several things I want to say when you're done, but I'm not sure when you're done.
So
I'll give the actual answer. For me, looking in, it's a dance, and I think we've just started dancing. So it's like, we want to dance together. So to, go, hey, are you going to pay for a park? It's so hard to answer that, and that's why you can't. Like, we're just starting that, what does this look like? So I'm really hoping we could work together, all of us, you included, and you've said this since day one.
committed to it.
Let's see what our dance could look like with working together. Because if we go in hard and then you go in hard, no one wins. So if we...
And we're getting a bunch of commercial structures sitting there, and
So-
who knows what we're gonna do.
My goal is we could dance together, and we have just started that, to make this work together. What does that look like? We'll find out, and different things like that. So your answer to that is kind of, hopefully, but who knows what that's looking like. It's impossible to say,
Well-
I'll build you a park, but what does that mean?
But we've never had a developer build a park that I'm aware of. They donate either park land, which has caused us to have how many parks?
Not enough.
How many?
I think 9.
I thought
No, it's more than that.
more like 13, 14, isn't it?
Oh, good.
And then around 2017, when you and I were on the board, we started, I think on Derrick 3, we finally said, we don't want more parks.
Well, that was a tough zone. No, it's...
We just want money.
Well, no, I disagree, because we want proper parks. That area couldn't give us, they gave us a wooded zone.
I know.
Where it's like I said, we're starting the dance. I appreciate all of this, and I know Bruce wants to work together. He's been absolutely forward with us, so hopefully we can be smart enough to work as a team instead of thinking one is right, the other's wrong. Then we wake up tomorrow and Bruce develops things, and we all go, well, once again, nothing happened.
So Bruce, on the south side there, those 6, I think there's 6 structures, are they envisioned right now as condos, twin homes?
I put them in as condos,
Okay.
as like a placeholder. I mean, if someone comes in and says, I would desire a single family, if that's the way that we go on the zoning, if somebody wants to do a single family residence, it's still gonna be part of a community. It's gonna be private roads. These aren't gonna be city streets. Oops. In both cases, it'll be private roads. So this will be association maintained. So whatever you want to call them, it might be shaped like a single like a villa. That's what is being sold up in the old dog park. They call those villas. And so it might be that, no, that's what people want. If that's what the market is going to drive here on the south side, then so be it.
So you're not anticipating 3-4 story structures.
Oh, no. I mean, it's like, I work within whatever the ordinance and the rules of the day when I develop. And in my house designs, I work on the Riverway all the time, have for 30-plus years. And so I was like, once I understand the parameters, then I can put forth my energy in the right direction. But right now, I don't, that's why we're here, is we want to start this dance, as you referred to it, and to keep the communication over. I've been totally transparent from day one about this. And I am willing, I do think this would be awesome for the Village of North Hudson. It'd be awesome for the parks, and it would be awesome for my business. This is what I do for a living. And I think it could be a win-win-win situation.
And you said, and we've agreed too, that a park would boost your property value.
Oh, yeah, I mean.
That's what I'm trying to even more say.
I know as a developer, hands down, trails are a boon to anyone near them on a national level. They just are. They bring money, you can disagree with that or whatever on your opinion, but it's like, there's enough studies out there to show it and prove it. I know when my kids have bought 2 houses out in New York, they intentionally bought them because they were within 2 blocks of their rail and trail system, because it was super important, So I know this is going to be a real plus for this community, and I'm excited about it.
It's like almost like we could all win.
This is a very unique opportunity for everyone to work together.
What are you hearing from Hudson? Is there going to have to be a partner?
It was Rich O'Connor who said in whatever meeting with you, Stan, and the county, and I think the county was there, you were there, there were like 7 of us. Because we were trying to figure out, like, hey, what are we going to do with, and I hadn't done any design or anything. And that's back when I just wanted to trade the easements required and the property I didn't want, which is all the property underneath the bridge. And I wanted to do a type of trade, is what I initially started with here. Like, well, yeah, so we can get, and part of that was that there would be a park, just as I've shown on this plan here. That was what I had in mind. That we would trade. That way, the Rails and Trails has the property, or then we got into the whole the government side of it. Like, that's not what I do. I develop and try to come up with good ideas for the community.
Basically, the county said, we're going to follow North Hudson's lead.
Same thing with Hudson. They're waiting for us.
Hudson said,
So that area is
Hudson and us both said no to the trestle bridge. And so basically, that's his. We don't want it. We didn't want the liability related to it. That's what came out of that one meeting. That was about it.
It's also specifically zoned
There's a
for
lot of
lots.
infrastructure that goes with this. There's roads, there's utilities, there's that little dam bridge that, who knows what kind of weight that and traffic that can support. More than just.
The little dam, you mean?
Just south of that cursor.
That's utility stuff, yeah.
What are Mary, I want to hear what you have to say.
Well, a few things. One is that it is zoned conservancy, so that was the village's decision. So, and that is in our comprehensive plan. And so, if we're going to be changing that, that's a big thing. The second thing is that we don't own it, so it's hard to sell something we don't own because they're jointly owned, all these pieces. So, like, it's not really our decision if we're going to sell them or not sell them. If all the partners that own them and our agreement with selling them, it seems that we would get the highest price that we could, meaning we'd have to list them and start, and, we can't just like hand them over to somebody. We'd have to actually sell them. Having a park there is not dependent on this. We already have those jointly owned properties. We already have that potential. So what happens here doesn't make or break whether or not there's going to be a park there with some beautiful river views. That's like, to me, a separate thing. And the other thing to keep in mind, in addition to the zoning, the ownership, how it's going to be sold, or if it's going to be sold, and our community's feelings about it, is that for every $1 million that we would add in new housing here, it's $2,500 in annual property taxes. So a lot of house doesn't bring us a lot of money to maintain roads and law enforcement and all the things that come with those properties. So
Mary, on that last point, are you saying that we only get $2,500, our share is only $2,500 per house, whether it's a $2 million house?
no, per million.
Okay, per million. Okay.
2,500 per million.
Per million.
So to the point of we don't get a park, well, if it all comes down to it and it is commercial, and that's got to be figured out, then we're not getting any land developed towards a park or money because he would go commercial. That's one thing.
So, I mean, if the decision is to develop a park there, that's not going to happen from a developer. We've never had a developer actually like fully develop and maintain a park. So that'd be something we have to work outside of whether this happens or something else happens. Like the park is its own plan.
I think that we put a lot of talk into this. There is no park right now.
Right.
There's no park been approved.
That's right. That's
so
right.
Now we're talking about developing land that Bruce owns in this area. Do we want to sell land? Do we want to not do it? Do we want to look at, we have to check the zoning because you think that you're saying that it is commercial and we say it's conservatory. So that has to get checked. Right.
Well, it's our decision. So what we say goes.
Don't we have to prove that we put it there?
Kevin?
Actually, Paul.
And I think,
Yeah,
Paul's already said it.
Lawyer.
ultimately, you don't really want to put commercial industrial in there. The city's not going to let you run commercial trucks through there. That's not really going to happen. So let's just not talk about that. He wants it to go to residential. And the way, this is unique property. And the way developments happen in unique property, like you were saying, it's a dance. The village needs to get a benefit for the village residents. Developer gets a benefit to be able to develop and make money. That's what you do. And we need, if there's any interest in this, it's going to be a multi-party deal with developer, village, city,
county,
trails, bikes and trails, whatever it is. And a plan will have to be developed and agreements put into place to make sure all that happens. And that's how these developments work.
So zoning, who has the authority to zone or rezone PIDs in North Hudson?
PIDs?
Property identifiers that are North Hudson's.
North Hudson.
Okay, so,
It's in the village of North Hudson. North Hudson controls the zoning.
so no matter what it's zoned as right now, we can rezone it to what we want?
In the village, sure.
Okay.
It's got to be consistent with your comp plan. You can amend your comp plan.
Okay. Thanks.
I get nervous with that whole conversation because I get so, I don't want to go negative. We need to stay positive. We have a one-time thing. So this whole idea gets me really nervous because it's I don't want to wake up tomorrow and be see nothing there, rope swing and a dam and look at nothing. So I really hope we could stay positive and work, both groups, all groups, work together. I spent way too much time to not work together.
Obviously, I firmly believe in it, and I think this is, I made the same statement to every entity that I met with. I met with the county before, I met with you guys, I met with the county, I met with the city of Hudson. That the county, is that this is a win-win-win for every, if you take apart each and every aspect of it, the positives to the community, on so many levels. And this is an incredible opportunity to do something really awesome in this community. And I want to be part of making that happen.
So I think maybe one of the hurdles I'm hearing is, other than some tax dollars, what does the village get long-term? What can they, when the residents of the village call these folks up, because they're representing the entire village, all the population. When they get the call that says, you're letting them develop that whole area down there, that's where I take my kids and we fish off the river. What's the answer? What's the answer that you give them?
The way I've designed this is that they finally get to go back there and do that.
And that's the message that I need. It needs to come out
I've been giving people
more detail.
permission on the north side, if they give me proper documentation, who they are. I'm letting people go, who have the kids who haven't been there and parents who haven't been there in 40 years because they wouldn't, trespass on the property.
And I think that has to be a key as well. The land is already owned by one individual. I mean, he can just put it up. Don't come on my property.
Which is what the railroad did.
Kind of.
Right. Well, why couldn't he? It's his land.
The railroad
Well,
did,
but
the railroad did the same thing.
I'm just saying right now that the
Agree.
land
Agree.
is still owned, and the owner, standing in front of us, Bruce, could say, I don't want anyone on this land. So, like Paul asked, you showed right there where you're going to have the parking, you're going to have walk paths, you're going to have areas that people could still come down there.
It'll be a beautiful park.
Right.
I don't think he said he was building those things, Barb.
He showed the parking lot of 20 spots with the area that people could go down there and park.
Are you building the parking lot for the park?
This is part of the discussion.
Yeah, see,
This is, well, okay.
but I think the board wants to be, I think it's important the board understands, obviously that is a unique property, it's beautiful, but I don't think you're telling us that you're building the park for the rails and trails. I think you're saying that you're willing to work with them on the access, but that you're not putting forth the funding to build the park.
Well, I would assume this is all, okay, first of all, this is getting the cart way ahead of the horse here. I'm assuming as we work together and work through this, and we work through your zoning and all the things that are required of me as a developer, following your standard practices, and that all these things are going to get worked out as we go through, but I need to know if it's a hard no here. As a developer, I have no choice, and there will be no park down there. There will be no access to the river other than for emergency vehicles and maintenance to the dam. That's
There'd be
just
no
the reality. And we don't want to go, but that's a negative.
I agree with you.
That's
Why do
so
we keep
negative.
talking like that?
So it's like, it's like, work with me. I'm trying to do something good for the community, myself, and the residents of both cities.
Bruce, would it work for you if obviously you're talking about earlier, your ideal situation is to break ground on the north end of everything.
Yep.
Now that would be considered your phase one of everything.
Mm-hmm.
What if we discussed about doing just your phase one, work the ordinances and everything else like that, so you can get the north side taken care of, and then, meantime, we're still discussing, because it seems like we're hung up on the south side. South side is holding us all up. Everybody's arguing, or I shouldn't say arguing, but we're waltzing and Macaronian on that side when you want to have the north side and you want to break down in the fall. So what would we need done to help you possibly get the north side taken care of by fall? More likely you need to ordinance correctly and then sell off of some of the land.
Can I add to that? Some of what's get mixed into this whole thing is the other entity that's come before us, Rails and Trails.
Yes.
How many times have they showed us what they want to do? They're the ones talking about building the park, Mary. They're the ones talking about building the trail. I don't think they ever said to us that he was going to build the park. but he would help with the trail.
We're running right now. We're not even in negotiations
I
with them.
think
I'm
we're.
so
I think. I
confused
think
right
we're.
now.
Yeah, I think we've heard everything we need to hear tonight. We heard.
So
we heard the
adding on to what
concept. That's all
Dusty
we were
was-
supposed to do. We're not supposed to be making any decisions. These
We're
aren't
not.
our decisions.
Adding on to what
Not
Dusty
our
said, though,
decisions.
I kind of agree. Phase 1,
Yeah.
Phase 2. Phase 1 doesn't really impact rails and trails as long as there's still going to be, would there still be space?
Why do we keep speaking for a group that's not even here?
That's
I'm
what
so
my
confused.
point
We're
was.
running right now. Bruce, thank you so much. I appreciate everything
this
you've
is
done.
going to-
We're making decisions for other
Down a
people.
rabbit hole.
Please
Okay.
keep talking to Rails and Trails. You're doing
I'm meeting,
amazing. These are
on
great
the
views.
23rd or something, or 24th.
He'll meet back up with us. We'll
I'm gonna
come
show them a
closer
beautiful
with
park.
more information. We're running right now.
Okay.
I'm gonna meet with
Thank
them.
you.
Thank you for having me. It's exciting to be able to present my dream. So,
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bruce.
Oh, and then please, if any way you can send that to us, just in general, would be great. Even if it doesn't have to be that 3D, but just be good for us.
Yeah, I can get
Also,
you some shots.
didn't you say anything about, isn't there allegedly a walkway or something all the way to, on the north side of Wisconsin Street?
yeah, that will be part of the whole presentation for the park and the Rails and Trails Committee. I didn't put.
Sure,
I
but
just
that was
showed-
something that
I
was
just showed- I tried to
discussed.
show a property just so you get an idea of
You want to talk about the rails?
that I wasn't looking for.
I
all the
do
property.
though, like, no, I just get so frustrated because I'm nervous that we're gonna get in the way of 3 groups that have I spent 4 years on this. Like, are we really gonna get in the way of trying to use Bruce to help us build something? I'm nervous that we are. I'm nervous we're gonna wake up and I spent 4 years, I'm gonna have to look at that and not see anything. Because we're gonna get in the way of trying to use him as a group. So, thank you, Bruce.
Thanks for the presentation.
Looking forward to working with you.
Alrighty then. I think we're on to number 9, Plan Commission recommendations.
Did not meet.
Not meet. And then we go to 10, Personnel and Finance Committee recommendations, claims approval requested.
Stan, I move to approve the board of the May 2025 non-reclaims of $52,658.39.
Thank you, Kirk. Is there a second?
Second.
John.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. Any discussion or questions?
Anything out of the ordinary?
I'll just keep this one short. The biggest expense item that we saw on there was for $13,000 for a fence installation around the new building that the PD is using. I had mentioned to the Finance Committee that last year we had received an approval of a budget of about $110,000 for that building. As of the end of last year, we were at about $98,000 spent. So this $13,000 actually puts us slightly over the forecasted budget that we had of the 110 by a few $1,000s. However, it is still within the guidelines that we set of a 5% variance on large projects. But we wanted to be fully transparent that we will be slightly over that 110 that was originally approved. The additional dollars do not need to come from anywhere else. They're going to be absorbed within our operating budget. But I did, again, want to be transparent on that. Building will be closer to 112 instead of 110.
You? Any other questions? Comments?
Chief, this is a new fence, right? Are we encircling the new PD building up in that area?
Correct.
Okay. So enclosing the new PD building up by the Public Works buildings?
Correct.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing none. Approval of the claims is spending money. Mary?
Yes.
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 Yes?
Yes.
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 Thank you. Item 11, Public Works Committee recommendations. Chair update.
Stan, we did meet. We didn't have anything to bring forward other than we are moving our meeting from 5:30 to 5 on third Tuesdays of the month.
Okay.
Same Tuesday as always, just half an hour earlier.
All right. And so then we go on to Public Safety Committee. I'm not sure.
So I was the chair of the last meeting, and we had Ray Franco from Market and Johnson come and talk about something that we're going to be talking about this evening related to authorizing the traffic restrictions. And although it wasn't in the meeting minutes, it didn't make the minutes, we did have that discussion, and the Public Safety Committee did approve that motion to move it to the board for this evening's vote. And then the other thing that we did was we voted unanimously on the modifications to the animal ordinance, and are moving and have moved those forward to this board for discussion and possible recommendation for this evening. And you all should have received, there's a posted copy of the ordinance changes, and then everyone should have received the copy with the track changes. Paul had reviewed it, and our attorney, village attorney, Paul Aller, reviewed it and added his changes in there. And I don't know if that is something that we can vote on without having submitted a motion, Gina? Can we do that this evening, or do we need to do that separately?
We can. I did create a motion for it, if you wanted to bring it forward.
I do. I didn't see it.
Real quick, I will just comment, so I apologize because you waited very patiently. It is within your, you are welcome, Mary, to switch those two items around if we would like to change and move the item C first, so that our guest can
great.
get on with his night.
Great. Yes.
Yeah, we do have that built into the agenda, so you're welcome to switch the order of those two if you'd like.
So I should move on the traffic authorization. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay. So let me just
maybe save you a few minutes.
Yeah, if you have it up, you'd save me more than a few minutes.
And I can send it.
It's right on the agenda, Mary.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. So I would like to move to authorize traffic restrictions on Webster Street North from Lemon Street North to Cedar Drive North for construction setup and staging for the North Hudson Elementary School expansion project from Wednesday, June 4th, 2025 through Friday, August 22nd, 2025. Is there a second?
I second.
Thank you. Any discussion, questions, Chief?
I just have one comment, and I spoke with Ray Franco. This is not Ray, the representative from Market and Johnson. But I had an email conversation with him between the Public Safety Committee meeting and today's meeting. It came to light that the Pepper Fest is actually a week prior to the August 22nd kind of end date. And because of the use of Webster Street North for a lot of the detouring around the parade route and whatnot, I had requested that we move that date 1 week earlier, which is August 15th, be the end date for them to have that reopened. Ray did not have any, he thought that was going to be a timeline that was going to fit anyway and didn't have any objection to that. I don't know if that's changed since that email. Okay. So looking to maybe just make that an amendment to the motion instead of August 22nd to be Friday, August 15th for that end date.
So how do we do that?
Amend.
What is this for?
So I move to amend it.
Construction at the
Nothing in here
elementary
says
school.
what it's for, so I'm kind of curious.
It says that it's for the North Hudson Elementary School expansion project. So basically,
Oh.
it would be closing the one block, one-way street from Lemon Street North to Cedar Drive North. There are no driveways that are off of that street other than for the school. There's no residential driveways. So it would be to basically expand their fencing to go to the north side of the street to give more room for leaving staging and movement of their equipment and whatnot around the construction.
Will it impact the sidewalks at all?
It will, in the fact that it'll be in that area. Matt, I talked to Matt this week. He said that Market and Johnson will be making arrangements so that the sidewalk, I think apparently there's a project going through for some repairs, that would be around that time.
Right.
If there was around that time, that they would make.
Yes, right after, a week after school ends, we start on the sidewalks in that area.
Okay.
Repair work. We're doing the whole village repair work, but we were gonna start around the school area first, is what I was told. That's a public works project.
Okay.
And it's like, if a slab needs replaced, if we're gonna low jack them, or whatever needs to happen, it's just maintenance work. We're not replacing whole sections of sidewalk, is what I've been told.
Yeah, we'd be happy to coordinate,
Okay.
allow for space. I do have, if you'd like to see a markup of what that fence line would look like,
Oh, we had,
I believe that was actually also included. You should have a color
Included in our
copy of it. It's
Yeah,
got
I
a
think we
red
got
line
one.
around it.
Yeah, it should be titled issue statement.
And I guess just as another couple of points of consideration for the board is that we would notify the dispatch center that that area was closed. So if we do, and there's tons of alternate routes to get to the homes that are east of, that area. So that shouldn't be an issue. And Public Works, Market and Johnson has already done an overview of the condition of the roadway, so that if something were to, be damaged or whatnot, that would be something that the village could work with them on. The other piece is that, just as far as giving notices, working with them to try to put up some signage to let people know that the road is going to be closed, and then also maybe some flyers that we would hand out to those east of Webster and Cedar that might be impacted on just the route that they may commonly take to their homes.
I'll let Jeannie Moore know, and the Millers.
Okay.
So we're putting a fence around that whole thing that's in here?
they're
We are
putting a
not.
fence around it.
They are?
They are.
Yeah.
It's just helping with construction.
Well, it's for safety.
It's a one-way drive.
But is it like a picket fence or?
It's a metal chain
Believe
link.
it's a chain link.
It's a metal
You
chain
can
link
tear down.
fence.
Similar to what's already in place in a portion of it, we're just gonna be extending it around the whole building, create that barrier between the public and the utility asphalt replacement that's set to occur this summer for safety purposes.
Okay, thanks.
We have to make the amendments.
Yes, I'm gonna like to amend the motion to change the date from Friday, August 22nd, 2025 to Friday, August 15th, 2025.
I second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor of the motion to allow Market and Johnson to do their, close that road and get the work done on the school, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you.
Thanks for being
Thanks for
so
coming,
patient.
yeah.
Thank you, Spencer.
We're getting there.
Didn't even get paid.
And here is another motion. I move to approve the amended Animal Ordinance Section 10.
I second.
Very. Okay, any discussion?
I would be happy to just walk through the highlights of the changes, if that would simplify things and maybe move it forward more quickly.
Yep.
So we, under the definitions, we modified the definition of animal to include amphibians, poultry, and chickens, and removed livestock and wild animals to separate definitions. We created a new definition for domesticated animals, which are those recognized as domesticated animals. A new definition for impound facility. It's no longer the Humane Society. It's a generalized generic definition. We have a new definition of livestock, which is things that are not animals, including horse and sheep, etc. We have a new definition for a one-family dwelling to help outline the chicken section that we'll get to. We have a new definition for potentially dangerous animals, prohibited dangerous animals, and substantial bodily harm to help identify a definition for what is a dangerous animal and also associated with nuisance. And then we have animal nuisance, and then we have a new definition for wild animal. Under Section 10.2, we modified the animal warden's authorities and duties and aligned them with the contract. We clarified the warden's authority for response on private property. We have added discretion for warning and violations, and moved the records duties that were formerly in 10.5 under the animal warden's duties and really aligned them all with the contract. Under 10.3, we added, which is penalties, we added a reference for a fee schedule for violations. Under 10.8, we defined what an animal nuisance is, and it includes things that are noises other than barking, which would be like crowing. We also added animal waste, rodents, wild animals, and livestock as animal nuisances. Under 10.10, dogs and cats need to display their licenses when outside. Under 10.11, we exempted service animals from license fees. Under 10.13, we added that village residents are responsible if they have an animal that they don't own to control that animal. Under 1019, we did the nuisance, what creates a nuisance, and added the harboring dangerous animals and livestock. And under 1020, we created a new section regarding chickens, allowing chickens with requirements for a single family dwelling, a secure area, a shelter, clean food and water, and no disease or pests. And that summarizes the changes.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mary.
Any comments or questions?
Well, besides changing words so they make more sense, are we having a problem otherwise? Are we getting reports of problems with the need to change how we're handling chickens, dogs, etc.?
So we didn't make any changes in dogs other than defining the dangerousness. We really don't have a good idea about the complaints. Things that aren't against the ordinance don't end up as complaints, so we don't have any idea about these things right now. Crowing isn't against the ordinance, so we will be having, I think, better data about what the issues are, but we had a lot of public comment. We had a lot of people coming in. We accepted the very vast majority of the comments from the community and incorporated those into what the ordinance is.
Then if you're walking your dog, you have to have the ability to show that it's been registered.
You need to have the license tag on it.
Was that there before, or is that was added?
That was added. The requirement, it's always been required to be licensed.
Yeah, the dog thing is really lax. That's one of the, some of the people that spoke, and one of the things they kept asking us is, why were we appearing to be so much more difficult with chickens than we are with dogs? I've lived here since 2005, never had a problem with any chickens, but boy, have I had problems with dogs, and I still do. The road that I live on, little lady, 2 big dogs at night walking them, no flashlight, she's not picking up the poop, had the nerve to tell us to go the other way because she had her two big dogs and we're walking the little one and she's concerned. I mean, that's just...
Does this address that situation?
Well, sure, if I was going to be a person that just started complaining right away, I could have called up and made a complaint, I could have challenged her, but no, I just...
What would you challenge her on in this new law?
I don't think anything in this new law.
Okay, so basically...
But what I'm saying is, here's somebody, they're allowed to have 2 dogs. Here's a woman, and some guys themselves, I don't think, could control those 2 dogs. These are big dogs if they decided they wanted to take off and go after
But that doesn't have
a
anything to
person.
do with
Has
showing
nothing
the
to do
tags.
with... Right, but I'm venting a little bit,
Yeah, I
because
agree.
in the time that I've lived here, I've had dogs barking out my bedroom window
me too.
on partridge at 3 in the morning.
Yes.
I've never been accosted by a chicken or a rooster, and if I was, I would handle it the same way, which at first is just restraint, try to,
The barking
Deal with
the barking's a nuisance, right?
it is.
And that can be reported?
Barking has been a nuisance. Crowing hasn't been. The other things haven't been nuisance.
And crowing
It is-
can be now, right?
Now it is.
Crowing is in there under the definitions.
If we pass this.
Yes, so my understanding is when I joined, what was that, 23, September, November of 23, this was already on the docket to talk about and change because of the roosters and the chickens, and I don't know where it came from, but it was a hot topic, and we went round and round with that. So it was brought before my time. I don't know when it started, but it was chickens.
Well,
It started before my time, and I want to thank Trustee Olson for all the work that she did in researching other ordinances regarding chickens and helping us to come to one that I think is very common sense.
I looked at all the surrounding areas, Minnesota included, all of the St. Croix County. I asked questions, legal questions. I looked into a lot of stuff about these chickens, and this is very lax. We're not reducing the number. It's just house your chicken properly. And I've heard people say, well, they're responsible chicken owners. They're going to be responsible. They don't want anything to happen to their chickens. Exactly. Well, then you don't have an issue then. Right. If they're doing this, then there's no issue.
Yep, and it's the same with dog owners. Responsible dog owners don't let their dog poop in somebody's yard go out without a flashlight. You know what I mean? But there are irresponsible dog owners, and we'll run into some irresponsible chicken owners, you know, but maybe not, because that's food on the table.
And it's just a reminder that you can go on our website and register your dogs.
Yes.
If this does go through.
Mm-hmm. Ours is registered.
They all should be registered at this
I'm
point.
just saying,
but you
that
can
I'm
do
sure
that,
there's
yes.
more people that need to get registered.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the chickens specifically, you need to have a fenced yard. They need to have a coop. You need to clean up after them. Is really the essence of what we included in the ordinance against chickens or about chickens.
So you don't think
Very generically.
You don't think overall this is adding hardly anything to the ordinance except crowing chicken?
Just now they can track it. So when people come through and say, I don't want this or I want this, now we can track it. We couldn't track it before because the animal warden says, I don't track that and I don't respond to it because.
Not in our ordinance.
Huh?
Not in our ordinance.
There was no guidance for chickens in the ordinance prior.
So he couldn't do anything and we couldn't track it. There has been complaints, but he wouldn't quantify them.
Yeah, he said that there were 3, but they wanted to remain anonymous. And of course, that, to me, if somebody's complaining through somebody else and it's anonymous, I pay it no attention. As far as something I'm going to affect my voting.
Are we saying there's certain animals now that we didn't care whether we're in the village that now we care?
Goats, I think. I think we can't have goats.
Goats, anything?
Livestock,
So we're adding, we are adding.
wild animals.
We are adding ordinances.
We added definitions and created nuisances of things that would be not appropriate in a city of the size and density of the village.
Based on whose opinion?
Based on the fact that cities don't have wild animals, owned villages. So when we went through the population and the size of the village, it was very clear that there was insufficient square footage to allow farm animals, to allow livestock, that we are not set for livestock. And so that was added to the definitions, and wild animals were in there in some ways, interspersed in the ordinance, and so that we just created a definition and didn't change the requirement that you can't have wild animals.
I agree with 90% of this, but I'm really struggling with some of it. The idea that no one's complained, but yet we still have issues with someone. A perfect example like you're talking about. So now someone can't have a pig, which,
The only point I was just going to make is Trustee Porter just talked about how he didn't complain about an issue. So sometimes no data doesn't mean that there's not
fair.
data.
Right.
The idea of we're making new
We
laws.
had a lot of residents come in and talk about chickens. There were, it was full. We had to get extra chairs, I believe, one meeting. There has been a lot about chickens, but most of them were they did not want any ordinance. I mean, that was the majority. But we did have people, lots of emails, and comments both ways. There were a few comments both ways.
It's just.
Our warden and our law enforcement cannot act if there isn't something in our code. And so this is allowing them to be able to exercise the judgment that they have around these issues. If they're not in our code, then there's nothing that can be done about them. And that was the reaction. That's why this started 2 years ago. And it took us 2 years to craft what I believe is a very responsible, minimalist amount of modifications.
And I guess, just from my experience, the chicken section of this is very reasonable.
I'm okay with the chicken section.
If that's what it is. I mean, you don't let your dogs run wild, you shouldn't let your chickens run wild.
I'm okay with the chicken section, although, does it say that my neighbor's chickens can't run over into my yard anymore in here?
It says they need to be in a fenced yard.
In a fenced
Secure,
area?
secure
Yeah,
area.
Secure area.
Does that mean a fenced area?
We did not put any requirements around what a fence was. It's secured. It needs to be secured and they need to have shelter. We did not go into any detail about what that meant.
Yeah, like build a fence, what kind of fence, and it just needs to be secured.
Okay, so that's really not very clear anyway. So if the neighbor's chickens are running in my yard and I don't care, nothing gets reported. But if the neighbor's chickens are running in my yard and I do care, I could report that?
Because they're not in a secure in their single dwelling home.
Chicken at large.
Chicken at large. Oh my God.
So the livestock part of things, like if people have goats right now and we pass this, we'd have to get rid of their goats or just one of those where it's applied.
I just
local government.
Goats can be temporarily for eradication of weeds, noxious weeds, etc. Other than that, they're considered livestock.
I kind of agree with Kirk.
I love so much of this, but
I
I'm
do
really
too.
struggling with how much it is.
Yeah, I do.
Even the dog thing, I totally agree with. Like all of that stuff, the chicken sticks, I agree with. Like, even the chicken lovers, which you guys saw how loud they are, that seems really reasonable. But it's just a lot, all in one motion.
And
I'm really nervous about a small part of it.
the chief will tell you how many times and so will Stan, how many times I complained about a rooster. I mean, I really wanted to.
Well, now that's covered under noise nuisance. That's all.
Well, as long as that's in there,
That was
I think-
changed under nuisance, so that is covered for the sound. It says barking dog or crowing. It does say, I mean, it is covered. So if it's not good enough, what do we take away from this? You compile things that we don't agree with and go back to.
Is it
Public
the livestock?
Yeah. I struggle with that.
I'm having trouble with the livestock.
Same.
It's big. It's
Well, what are you, okay, let's talk about livestock.
I just don't want someone to call me and be like, "Hey, I have this animal. I can't believe you banned this."
Well, I mean, we talking cows, we talking horses, are we talking?
Doesn't matter.
pets?
Any of them.
I can tell you personally, as an owner of horses, bovine, sheep, goats, pigs, and all the above, there are very, very, very few properties in the village that would support what is
Yeah,
needed
we're
to.
talking like 3 people. That's
that-
fair. That's incredibly fair.
Would have
Yeah.
the right space
Yeah.
to even have these animals on their property.
Because don't you need 3.5 acres for a horse? Something like that, 3.2?
It's certainly not a quarter of an acre.
Which all of us live on.
Well,
Yeah,
and I think to that point, there's nothing in the ordinance that says that. So who said 3.5 acres? Is that
Yeah, I know
is that a
it's-
state law?
that's
Because currently the village ordinance doesn't have anything.
The
You could
county
have
has-
10 feet.
Yeah, the county
and
has
there's your
ratios
horse.
for animal units and
Yeah.
space. That's
But
where that.
we don't follow the county laws, but they do have recommendations, or they have laws on the county, there are towns or cities that we do not follow those same restrictions. But if we did, we'd have a large chicken ordinance, I'll tell you that right now. It's huge.
I'm not a big fan of creating a lot more ordinances. Is all I've got to say about it.
I agree.
But I do agree with what you're saying about what the county says about what you need for a horse. I've had horses before. When we grew up, we had at least 2 acres, and we ran 2 horses. That's all we had in there.
I think I've heard a lot of feedback about just goats specifically.
Goats, I have too.
So that is the biggest thing, I think, honestly.
No, I have
is
heard that
the-
too. If I want a goat for goat milk, or 2 goats for goat milk, why can't I have goats?
So would it be possible to, just like zoning, we have our zoning ordinances, and if you want to request a variance to that, you can bring it forward. So if you have someone who says, I would like to have a goat, and I'm one of the 3 people that have an acre of land, could they come back through?
And that's incredibly fair.
Yeah.
And I will admit too, this board is open for stuff like that. So that's incredibly fair point, where if we do approve this and we run into something, we have proven that we're more than open to amend that, adjust that on the fly. That's a really fair point.
Yep.
For all of this. We run into any issues with any of it, chief coming through, or you hearing different things, or people complaining to us, that amending it is
Well, this
An honest
increases the animal warden's responsibilities by a lot, right?
That is what was asked of us to do, because he was unable to act on calls that he's getting because it's not defined in the ordinance.
Does that end up costing us more?
Of course it will.
Yep,
Who pays for that?
we do, for
Taxpayers.
for calls. And then if he ends up, let's say you have a dog at large and he ends up taking the dog and bringing it to, and confining it, the owner of the dog, when they go to bring the dog back home, does pay for that.
But that's a current responsibility and doesn't change. The things that would change in the animal warden's responsibilities would be adding chickens and the clarity on nuisance animals. With the clarity on nuisance, with dangerous animals, with crowing, those things would go to the animal or the animal warden. Theoretically, sometimes law enforcement, from what the chief has shared with the public safety, ends up getting to those first.
The nuisances goes to you, right? Doesn't go to the animal warden?
Under the animal control, it's the animal warden that is, it shall, animal warden shall, officers can.
On this?
Correct. As it should be. I don't want my officers to be animal control experts. That's a very small portion of what they should be doing.
I don't believe that we have, other than the chickens, contributed to the animal warden's duties or expanded his responsibilities.
And from my understanding, it's just crowing.
It's just what?
Crowing. It's just the noise of the roosters.
Anything else, if someone's being harmed, we are going to, I think, be happy to pay the animal warden to deal with dangerous animals and those things that we don't want in our community.
Okay, good discussion. Anything else, anybody? Well, I guess we better vote on that then. And it's a motion to approve the amended animal ordinance, section 10. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
No.
No.
Okay, we better go to the roll call then, eh?
Yeah. I think it was 4-3, but you could roll call it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Brian?
No.
No.
Kirk? Oh, yeah, John, yes.
Stan, yes.
Barb, yes.
Faustino?
Yes.
Approved. 4-3.
Okay. And again, we can adjust these if, if it comes up.
Take all you don't like.
We can't make laws that we can't change. Now it's done.
What the warden does.
Okay, 13, public welfare. Kirk?
Hi, give me 1 second. I move to approve the village staff to get an RFP for waste hauling services for the village.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Barb.
So, can I say something about this?
Love to.
So in the background,
So,
yep.
you have a contract with Waste Management. There has been complaints against Waste Management. If you're gonna go out for RFPs, you're essentially terminating Waste Management. So contractually, there are procedures that must be followed to do this.
I thought that was supposed to be checked on before that came here to see if we are within our guidelines.
There is notice sections, there's a default section. It's more than just, so many people emailed about the problem with the garbage can. It takes more than that. You have to send certified mail default. List your grievances. It goes to an address in suburban Chicago, the Waste Management headquarters. If they don't do anything about it and it continues, then you can terminate it. If you don't terminate, and if you don't follow the procedure, you have 2 years left on this contract, I think. Waste Management, they're big boys.
Right. I thought we were checked on that before it got to this point, but,
I mean, you could have stopped me before the motion, but
Well, you didn't do cheer update.
Fair. My bad. 1-0, Dusty.
What I would recommend, I mean,
Yeah.
I think we need to do.
I agree.
We need to do default stuff first,
Wonderful.
and then do the RFPs.
All right, I'll take back my motion.
I think though, putting the motion out there, Kirk, because Paul and I had talked before this meeting, is it allows that discussion to happen, right? And so I think, some of the questions he was asking me, have I done? And I went, no, meaning I haven't sent certified mail, right? I've talked to Tim. Tim has our list, but to Paul, what Paul's concern was when we were talking about this motion was me having a conversation with our account manager did not meet the section on the procedures in the contract.
Yeah, we've tried to do the nice thing. You talk to your rep and he takes care of it or whatever. But I think we're past that. We need to put it up the ladder at Waste Management and, if you follow those procedures and give them the notices, if they don't do anything and stuff keeps happening, then you terminate it. Then when you're in front of the judge, we gave them notice, they didn't do anything, we terminated. We had to do something.
That's why we pay you the medium bucks.
Okay, we're done with that?
Perfect.
Mac.
That's it?
That's it for you, okay?
So we just don't vote on the motion, is that?
Now we have to vote on the motion to authorize the
Well, we can't
staff.
make that motion because,
Well, I would deny that motion.
Deny the motion.
And then give direction to send out default letters to Waste Management based on the history.
I make the motion that we start following the proper procedures on what it would look like to get rid of a contract with Waste Management.
I second.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you. And next item, 14, Kirk, you're on again.
I move.
Well, let's see. Yeah, you were in charge of.
This would be my
before Barry
final
took
act.
over, so-
I move to approve the Public Works Director to receive the funds to finish the recommended list as shown without wood chips.
Got an update on that, Kirk?
Yes, after we get a second.
I second.
Thank you, Dusty. Yeah, this is kind of the heart and soul of what we've been working on. Public Works brought up the fact that they might be looking at different ways to save us money on wood chips. So Finance knows that it might come back to us, but if there's a way that they can get new ones that aren't as wood and we could save money there, the rest of the stuff kind of puts a bow in all the little things we've been working on for the all of our parks.
Okay.
The recommendation was that we pull from,
Oh, yeah, also the money will be coming from unassigned because I want to leave the, currently the 51,000 for the parks to kind of use for different specific things, because these all can be considered one-time spending.
Thank you. Okay, any further discussion?
So are these the items that total $43,600 that we received that we're voting on, the basketball hoop?
yes,
Well,
minus
it's
the
without
21.
yeah, so the wood chips will be reassigned, so I think it would be 2260.
Everything on the sheet except the wood chips.
Wood chips are holding up for a month.
1 month?
Well, we're going to give them, we're giving Public Works a month to let us know if they can do it cheaper. And in the back of Finance's brain and our brain that we know that if they can't, we're going to move forward for it, because we don't want to hold back on replacing
We're
those.
looking into a wood chipper.
I think 1 month is too long to wait to replace those wood chips.
Well, they're looking at getting a wood chipper, and the request was made to be sure that if we get one, it's gonna cut the wood chips to the appropriate size that the parks need.
Well, it's not, it's also the weight of it, it's a certain wood. And waiting a month, I don't know why that's too long.
Because it's summer, will be a third over, the three good months, and they're really not great for playing right now. And I don't know if anyone else has, but I've gotten
Gina,
complaints
we
about
could
it.
hold a special
Yeah.
public works meeting if you like.
No,
Well, it would need to get back here though, so that's not till June.
Huh?
And whatever's decided would need to get back to this group for a decision, which doesn't meet till June. So we'd have to have two.
She's got a point.
as the park board chair, I think it can wait. We talked about it. It even got decided from the park board that waiting a month is perfectly fine. We're very excited with what we have here. This is incredible. We're going to finish the pickleball fence.
But I'm confused because it's on the motion. So it's on the
Well,
motion that we have.
The
It went
motion
to
that he said,
finance because it was a spend, and finance modified the motion to remove the wood chips and have it come from unassigned.
That was my motion too. It featured without that.
now here, okay, in finance, one thing that came up is maybe we shouldn't wait for the park, the areas the kids play in, because the wood chips are reused elsewhere. But he said it'd be okay to wait a month, so we could go out and purchase just for the playground areas, new chips.
We don't have an assessment on that. We don't know what that looks
Exactly
like.
what that number would be. though.
Or
But it's on here. It's right on here. It says $21,000, replace the wood chips in the park. It's on here.
He was saying that.
Number three.
That was more than the parks. We use wood chips elsewhere.
Gina, I'm confused. This is your motion,
Yep.
you and Matt, to replace the wood chips for $21,000. So is that not right?
that's not the motion I made.
Yeah, that motion was what was presented to finance, and during the finance committee, they modified and amended the motion to remove the wood chips based off of their recommendation and have it come from unassigned.
Well, I guess I'd like to request that get in there and get done, so that the parks are playable. I toured all the parks, and those wood chips are not great. It's not good to play there. And another month seems like a long time to wait, because they've been that way already. And I think it seems like a reasonable investment to get those playgrounds nice.
For me, I mean, this is us trying to save money for North Hudson. There's a chance they could do it. If they can't do it, it'll be approved next month. We also are proving that this is not even coming from the park board funds. This is coming from unassigned. So we're showing that even more, that if people bring certain things to this board, that we're going to prove it, and that money still will be set aside for that. So legitimately, the park committee have committed to waiting another month too. So.
So the park board voted to wait on wood chipping the parks?
When we talked about it, we brought up that we're not 100% sure if finance can afford it. We also talked about how it would be last on our list. So getting the new basketball court, the trails, the net or pickleball fence, out of all of our list, the repairing the wood chips were last.
But this is proposed to come out of the account. It's not even coming out of the park account.
Because that was created.
Well, this was a
before, and then-
recommendation of our public works director. I don't know why we wouldn't follow
He did a
that.
different motion.
Finance agreed, and also the old park board chair and the park board itself agreed that we can wait a month and then decide then.
Yeah, how many years we've had chips in them parks?
Not the same chips.
Yeah, they're different. But it's coming. That's the crazy part. It's a month. It's 1 month.
Yeah.
We're giving a chance to save money for North Hudson. It's what we do.
It seems
what we
like a
hope to
very
do.
odd way to save money on a kid's park.
Can we say this? It takes a phone call for me to find out if that wood chipper is gonna even be able to create the chips that we want. And number two, would we have the wood immediately to replace the chips that needed to be replaced? Do we have the trees to chip? I can make that call tomorrow, find out if those two things are true. If not, can we do an if then? If not, tell Matt to go ahead and spend the $21,000? Sure. I mean, I can find the answer to this tomorrow.
Perfect. I have absolutely no problem with that, so I will,
I've heard the same thing she's been hearing.
we all have. They're bad. You can't even walk through them. They're heavy. I totally agree with you.
So
I'm
how
just-
do we do this
So
conditional?
kids can get cut on them and that kind of stuff.
I will withdraw my current Public Works fund. I don't know who motioned me.
Who seconded you?
Yeah.
I second.
John.
Okay. Now, I will come up with please allow the Public Works Director to receive the funds. If Public Works Director Matt and the Public Works Chair Brian Pike think that it's capable of coming up with the new chips, we will withdraw. We will not do wood chips. If they do not, we will move forward with the wood chips and the full price of $43,600 to come from unassigned funds.
I second.
I need John, I think.
Oh.
Second.
Thank you. I mean, the park's been full for it. We just thought we could save money.
Okay, and we may still be able to.
Love it.
Next.
Vote.
We gotta vote.
Stan.
Well, I'm waiting to make sure you're all done. I mean,
I'm done.
God, a good thing we don't have any livestock here. Those horses would be dead.
That's why we're starting at 6, you know.
Okay, all in favor of the motions presented?
Spending.
Aye.
Apologize, it's spending.
Oh, spending, yeah, that's true. Brian?
Yes.
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 Thank you. And praise the Lord, we're done at 9:17.
Would be 8:17 if we moved that meeting.
So the animal warden's supposed to be doing.
All right, we gotta set these two.